Mesopotamian civilization. Mesopotamia is the land between two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates, also called as the cradle of all civilization. This civilization has 6 civilizations. The first among the 5 is the Sumeria. It is known as the earliest civilization in Mesopotamia. Lugal-Sagassi became the last ruler of the civilization and known as the most powerful of all. Second civilization are the Akkadians who adopted Sumerian civilization. Ziggurat of Ur, a temple made of mud, was built by Ur-Nammu. Nana became the goddess of the ziggurat. Third civilization is the Babylonian known for the Code of Hammurabi. This code was written by Hammurabi, the founder of Babylonia. The fourth civilization is the Assyrian ruled by Ashurbanipal. He called himself the king of the world, and he made Nineveh as the new capital of Assyrian Empire. The fifth civilization is the Chaldean, known for its famous building Hanging Garden built by Nebuchadnezzar. The last civilization is the Persian under Alexander the Great. Mesopotamian civilization made a lot of contributions like plow, wheel, cuneiform, Epic of Gilgamesh, zodiac signs, world's first mathematician, and belief of many gods or the polytheistic belief. Indus civilization. From about 2500 BC to 1700 BC, the Indus civilization flourished. It has 2 important cities, namely Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. India is the land of mystery where past is never dead. It is a subcontinent on the southern part of Asia. This subcontinent is divided into 3 natural regions, namely the Hindustan, a vast plain which lies south of the Himalayas, the Deccan, an extensive lava plateau in the south of Hindustan, the Tamil Land, also called as far south, that extends to the tip of the subcontinent. Nature has been bountiful to India. Its soil is fertile and the land has abundant natural resources. The earliest known civilization in India is known to be the Harappan civilization. During the civilization, there were public buildings built, the Great Bath, vast granaries, and the pillared hill that served as their conference hall. Trading seemed to be the major activity during this period. By about 1700 BC, the Harappan civilization declined. The beginning of the Aryans' dominance was between 1500 BC to 500 BC. This period was called the Vedic period. Their leader was called the Raja. As the Aryan groups began to settle down, they relied on farming to support their communities. The Vedic society had their Vedic literature known as Vedas or knowledge. This literature was organized into 4 classes, namely the Samhita, that also divided into 4: Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Dharvamanas, the Aranyakas, and the Upanishads. India has 2 greatest epics: the Mahabharata, which is the longest epic in the world literature, written by Vyasa about 500 BC. The second epic is the Ramayana, that was written by Valmiki about 500 BC. The restrictions of the Aryans for the Dravidians to rule the society resulted to the caste system. The topmost part were the Brahmins or priests, followed by Kshatriyas. Next was the Vaishyas, then the Sudras, and the lowermost part were the untouchables or the outcasts. Hinduism is the first and most ancient religion in India that founded by the Indo-Aryans. They believe on the three manifestations of gods, namely Brahman the creator, Vishnu the preserver, and Shiva the destroyer. By 6th century, a philosopher and religious reformer was born. He founded one of the great religions, Buddhism. His name was Prince Siddhartha Gautama, the son of the head of the Sakya warriors. He then called himself as Gautama Buddha, the combination of his family name and appellation of Buddha, which means the enlightened one. At the end of the 6th century BC, Darius the Great sent a Persian army to India and conquered the Aryan kingdom. This started the Persian invasion of India. But after 200 years of ruling the India, the Persian Empire declined. In 326 BC, Alexander the Great, after conquering Persia, moved Cass and conquered northern India. This marked the Greek invasion of India. The rise of Indian dynasties started in the Mauryan dynasty led by Chandragupta. At 232 BC, Mauryan Empire declined. The decline of the Mauryan dynasty marked the beginning of the so-called Dark Age of India. The Mauryan dynasty was replaced by the Sunga dynasty in 183 BC. General Pushyamitra Sunga became king and restored Vedic tradition. They persecuted their Buddhist subjects. Kushan dynasty followed the fall of the Sunga dynasty. This dynasty was founded by Cadphises I. The Gupta dynasty is known as the Golden Age of Indian civilization because of the flowering literature, art, and science. Harsha revived the glory of Gupta dynasty, but with his death, the Gupta Empire fell. After the next 5 centuries, a group of allied kingdoms were established by the Rajput clans and they called their land Raputan. This comprises the happenings in the Indus civilization. The Chinese civilization. China's history dating back more than 4,000 years. It is marked with the rise and fall of great dynasties. The earliest is the Shang and Chu dynasties saw the beginning of silk making, writing, and art, including bronze work and carving. China had its golden age of philosophy with Confucius, who is the greatest of all Chinese philosophers. He set a golden rule that, what you do not like when done unto yourself, do not do unto others. Lao Tse was a renowned scholar and teacher. His known teachings are Taoism. Mencius is the best known as a political and economic reformer. He justified revolution against a bad and corrupt ruler. The Qin dynasty from 221 to 206 BC was short-lived but left a lasting mark. Qin ruler Shi Huangdi created an empire and built the Great Wall to protect China from nomadic invaders. During the Han Dynasty from 202 BC to 220 AD, the Chinese traded with other civilizations. Goods passed along the Silk Road stretching to India, Middle East, and Roman Empire. Korean civilization. Korea with dynastic history is more than 4,000 years old, often overlooked. Korea's first dynasty, Gojoseon, was founded on 3233 BCE. Gojoseon's sphere of influence spread over the peninsula and the west of Manchuria. Gojoseon dynasty also coincided with Korea's Bronze Age. During this time, period advances were made like metalwork and pottery. Gojoseon dynasty prospered over thousands of years until the rise of Han dynasty in China, who is founded on 206 BCE. In Han China's case, in expanding westward, it invaded Gojoseon. After a year of war, Gojoseon fell into arms of Han dynasty of China. Han acquired the west portion of Gojoseon. Baekje fell on the Silla in the year 660 CE. Silla then attacked Goguryeo on the southern Tang dynasty on the north. It took years for Tang and Silla to defeat the Goguryeo. Until 668 CE, Goguryeo fell into Silla. Silla and Tang took the Goguryeo lands, but Tang tried to set colonies on Silla's territory. Silla then drove out Tang forces, which unified the Korean peninsula. Japanese civilization. Japan is the land of the rising sun. It comes from the word Seppan. It has four main islands, namely Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. Honshu being the largest and Shikoku being the smallest. Its two main religions are Shinto and Buddhism. Japan's traditional clothing is called kimono. Simply means something to wear. The prehistoric Japan started at Jomon period, named after the cord markings or Jomon on the pottery they produced. Next in line is the Yayoi period, where new weaving techniques were developed. The third period, during 300 to 710 AD, Kofun period started. This period is named after mounded tombs or kofun that were built for political elites. These kofun were surrounded by haniwa or clay cylinders and figurines. Following the Kofun period, Asuka period flourished. This period was ruled by Yamato great kings. Next period was the so-called Golden Age of Japan, which is the Nara period. It was ruled by Gimi, who established Ritsurya system, the system of rank and position. The great image of Buddha was also erected into Daiji Temple, and the collection of myth and legend, Manyushu, was written during this period. Another period that ruled by Emperor Hamu is the Heian period. Literary masterpieces were written during this period, like The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu. Following the Asuchi Momoyama period, at 1600 to 1868, Edo period started. Prince Mitsukini compiled Dai Nihonshi, or the Great History of Japan. Tokugawa Ieyasu established Sakoko policy, or the policy of isolation. The decline of this period paved a way for the next periods, namely Meiji period during 1868 to 1912, Taisho period during 1912 to 1926, Showa period during 1926 to 1989, and lastly Heisei period during 1989 to present. Southeast Asian civilization. Southeast Asia is divided into two regions, the mainland Southeast Asia and the maritime Southeast Asia. Islam and Christianity are the main religion of Southeast. Its civilization composed of different empires formed within its countries. The Cambodian Empire, founded by Jayavarman II. Angkor Thom is the capital of this empire. Annamese Empire, or the Vietnamese Empire, with Hanoi as its capital. The Kingdom of Siam, or Thailand, often called as the Lands of the Free or the Muang Thai. Burmese Empire, invaded by Buyin Nao. Ava is the capital of this empire. Republic of the Philippines is divided into three islands, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The Republic of Indonesia is the largest archipelago. It is one of the world's richest natural areas. Malaccan Empire resulted from the downfall of Majapahit Empire. In this empire, Islamic rise up. Different influences can also be seen in Southeast Asian civilization, Chinese influences and Muslim influences. The Western expansionism in Asia. Europeans got three main purposes in expanding, the three G's, gold, God, and glory. Through taking new route to east, they invaded Philippines, India, and China. The Philippines was first discovered by Ferdinand Magellan, but failed to colonize it because he was killed by Lapu-Lapu. But on 1565, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi occupied the Philippines and captured Cebu, where he established the first Spanish settlement. Spaniards introduced Christianity in the Philippines, which served as their great contribution to Filipinos. Europeans also invaded India, led by Sir Robert Clive. They also invaded China, led by Sir George Macartney, through sampling of goods for the emperor. Western colonial rule in the Orient. As a result of colonization, different companies, economical system, and agricultural system were developed in the Orient. The encomienda system was imposed in the Philippines. This system is a feudalistic type of land ownerships. The British East India Company in India, Burma, and Malaya. This company made reforms in India, like constructions of railroads, bridges, and irrigation system. The East India Company in Burma. The Dutch East India Company, wherein native rulers of the islands were required to pay tribute in the form of products raised in their particular localities. The cultivation system was established provided that a village set aside a fifth of its cultivable lands for production of export crops for the government. These different rules were established in the purpose of developing the colonials of the Western. Nationalism in Asia. Nationalism is a belief, creed, or political ideology that involves an individual identifying with his or her nation or the love for a country. Due to colonization, nationalism arose in Asia. Singapore was captured by the British, but in 1957, the British agreed to the establishment of an elected 51-member Legislative Assembly in Singapore. On August 9, 1965, Singapore officially gained its independence. Malaysia was invaded by the Siamese. The British became interested and tried to invade the Malaya, but they wanted independence. Vietnam was invaded by Portuguese. It was then again invaded by France in 1887. Japan took over to Vietnam in 1940, but the communist leader Ho Chi Minh organized an independence movement known as Viet Minh. On September 2, 1945, Vietnam gained its independence. Indonesia was colonized by Portuguese and introduced Christianity. They established Dutch East India Company and cultivation system. But on August 17, 1945, Indonesia declared its independence from its colonizers. Indonesia was colonized in the year 1757 by British, but from 1857 to 1858, Indian rebellion arose through the Sepoy Mutiny. Mohandas Gandhi led the Indian people in the rebellion. On August 15, 1947, India gained independence from British. Japan invaded Korea from 1592 to 1598, led by General Hideyoshi. On September 1945, Korea divided between North and South. The ancient and modern health practices in Asia. China is one of the countries of Asia in the East that has ancient health practices. This country is the origin of the so-called acupuncture. It has also 16,000 health remedies described on the traditional Chinese medicine. Going southwest, ancient Mesopotamia believed in a spectrum of illness. They believed that illnesses were caused by evil spirits and physical problems. They have two medical practitioners, Ashipu and Asu. At the southward part, India had practiced Ayurvedic medicine. This is where illnesses is seen as the imbalance of the body's three main humors, the bile, phlegm, and wind. Asia has also modern health practices, namely female genital mutilation, dry sex, population control, in vitro fertilization, and artificial insemination.